In this video, we're going to be talking about HIPAA dashboards. HIPAA dashboards can be really, really detailed. The main takeaway, though, is that we are going to typically have some level of PHI data that's going to be exposed in the overall user's kind of dashboard area or their user settings, user admin, whatever we're calling it, that user portal, etc. So we're going to want to be careful about respecting the security and privacy rule aspects of HIPAA while also giving the user a very immersive experience. So let's take a look now at some of the examples that we've completed in the past, and we'll also kind of talk about how the security and privacy rules apply to some of the advanced customizations that we can do with these dashboards. Okay, let's dive in. Okay, so in this first example, what we want to show is we're actually providing information to the user about their specific kind of high-level information and some of their preferences that they've selected. And then we're giving them a kind of key off or a jumping off point so that they can dive right into some of the most commonly used aspects of their membership or their access to this portal. So in this particular case, we want to really drive them to order more items, order more kits. And then they also have these large kind of friendly icons and buttons that they can click on to go into their open signature requests, tracking a kit, or viewing their test results. Now, this is really, really helpful because one of the big things that a lot of dashboards do is just overwhelms a user. And depending on the dashboard, that may not be the end of the world, but this is an opportunity to pair the marketing and some of the conversion optimization with the actual kind of nuts and bolts of what you're trying to provide to the user. Okay, now let's take a look at another example. Now, here you can just see this is talking about the different delivery preferences for the user. So that's what's changing in these different examples. And now let's take a look at a completely different dashboard. Here you can see this dashboard is actually looking at medications. Now, this particular dashboard is really focusing on what the user is looking for right out of the gate with their medications and possibly how many more refills they have, maybe just kind of high level information, again, that they're going to be using in this particular e-commerce system in this case. So this is an online pharmacy, and the user is going to be presented with the option to request a refill or drill in and get more details. So if they drill in and get more detail, then they can actually get into their medication from that dashboard and kind of find more about what the status is for this particular item. So we'll cover this in more detail in some of the other videos. But what we want you to take away from this is that the end user is getting to see what is most important in both of these dashboards right away. It's really easy to put too much information on the dashboard, and we want to encourage you to think about that and think about what you're going to be presenting to the end user whenever they go to the site. Now, this is an example of just kind of a generic dashboard. So here you can see that the user has a lot of information about their orders and their invoices. And then they can also, in quotes as well, returns, and they can drill into these and search, or they can actually drill into a particular order, invoice, etc. So this is going to be more of a generic presentation model. And we really encourage you, if it makes sense and if there's an opportunity for it, to think about what's going to matter for your customers and what they're going to need whenever they go into their dashboard so that you're giving them a really catered experience. Some of the other things that we want to point out about the dashboard itself that we're not necessarily going into a lot of detail in other videos with the HIPAA series are that there are shopping lists, wish lists, downloads if it makes sense, returns, in-stock alerts, etc., quotes even. And so these are capabilities that are available with the Clarity e-commerce and Clarity portal system off the shelf. So this is a great opportunity to take advantage of. Okay, so in this next dashboard, what's really interesting about this one is in a very non-generic presentation model, we're seeing very specific aspects that we're presenting on the homepage of the dashboard. So first of all, the percentage completion of the profile of the user. This can be really helpful for the users so they can kind of remember to go back and fill out additional information. There may be a benefit that we can provide them by completing the profile. They get a discount or a coupon code, or we could possibly say that we'll be able to better inform them or give them better notifications, this kind of a thing. And then they also have their upcoming appointments. And this is really interesting because the presentation format here is showing some just very high level information, and it's sorted by date. They can make a new appointment or edit existing appointments. And then they can also see their forms, and what forms are needed is what shows up first. So then they can also see what they've signed or what they have available to sign as well. And then finally, they also have a messaging or notification area where they can see what messages they've received and possibly items that they need to respond to that they haven't read yet. And they can, of course, organize from there. So this is a really interesting dashboard presentation for a very specific use case. And the other thing we want to point out is that this is just a blank logo section, because this particular implementation that we did, it allows the company that we wrote the software for to be able to white label it. So they can white label their dashboard, and they can provide it to multiple different healthcare organizations or organizations that are utilizing this HIPAA application. Okay, so the next example that we want to go into here is for a bulk purchasing dashboard. And here you can see the homepage of this dashboard goes right into recent purchases. So this is really helpful because the user can actually drill in and get some detail on their dashboard about their recent purchases and really easily repurchase. Now, this particular use case is selling as essentially a buying group of sorts for pharmacies to be able to purchase generic versions of drugs, for example, and they have the ability to come in and just quickly reorder. You can also see they have a lot of specific areas that are unique to this particular industry, where they're actually getting to go look at their CSQ or CSOS and drill into those, in addition to some of the more standard areas that you would expect to see in a user's dashboard. Okay, now this dashboard is really interesting because this dashboard is providing the user with just a high-level announcement and some overall calendar events, and then resources that are helpful within this particular system. This system is a training system, and it's used to help the different customers to be able to go through different assessments and complete those assessments within their different locations and be able to see what the results are for these assessments. And you can see there are different forms that will be filled out. And essentially, we're going to be able to drill into every single community within this particular group that's part of this overall healthcare experience, where they're going through audits and reviews to make sure that they're meeting certain compliance requirements. Now, in this particular case, this is to qualify in general for different forms of insurance like Medicare and Medicaid, and be able to meet those requirements. But as you can imagine, everything within this portal is HIPAA compliant. It has sensitive PHI data, etc. So let's see, this next example is going into really a patient portal, and it's a patient billing portal to be more specific. So you can see right away the end user has the ability to see some of this information. They're able to see what they can do to make their payments, some of the quick, easy access areas with nice icons. And again, just a really catered presentation whenever they're going into this portal. And then whenever they log in, the kind of primary view is to look at their invoices. And you can see that there is no logo shown here because this is, again, a white labeled dashboard. So this is something that the end client we worked with to build their HIPAA compliant patient payment portal. They were able to take that and white label it and resell it to their end customers. And then their end customers can use their branding and their styling within this portal system. So it's a very customizable presentation model, and it can be catered based on each customer's needs on behalf of the customer that we work with and that we built the underlying software. So again, their kind of default view here is they're going to be taking a look at invoices and allow the customer to drill in. Now, this particular dashboard is more of a standard presentation, and we wanted to just go over some of these screens And here you can see that they have the ability to see just kind of right away recent sales orders, sales invoices. They can pay those. They can see sales quotes and sample requests as well. And then they can kind of drill into some of the aspects of the dashboard, some of the users' kind of area where they might want to manage their wallet and make changes to a wallet entry, change the nickname, update the card information, add a new wallet entry, that kind of a thing. They may want to manage a wish list and create a list of items that they want to purchase later, a shopping list. So a wish list is not persistent typically, and a shopping list is. So after somebody purchases something from a shopping list, they can still go back and repurchase it, and it stays on their list. Whereas a wish list is going to disappear once they purchase it. And that is, of course, configurable. And so here you can see if they look at their gardening tools wish list, they can then go add, or shopping list rather, they can go add those items, and they get a nice presentation to be able to manage their shopping list. And then there's also in-stock alerts. This can be really helpful for different HIPAA use cases, especially if something is out of stock. There may be a need to complete a process. So we may want to, rather than say it's in stock, we may want to say it's available for them to purchase now, or they've been approved, some kind of notification around that. And then finally, we wanted to show another dashboard that is really specific to a device that's integrated with this e-commerce, really kind of medical portal system that we configured for this particular client. So this particular use case has a glucose meter, and here you can see some of the results on the user's dashboard. So this is the user themselves logging in, and you can see they've got some stats and some graphs that present that. Here you can see a really nice presentation of each of the measurements that were taken for different days. And then you can see it kind of visually fluctuating throughout the timeline of the day as well. And then we can kind of change the range of the data and ultimately get this kind of overall trend that we're able to present. And we can do this using, advanced techniques like machine learning or AI, or just a simple moving average, something really simple. It's up to you as to how sophisticated you want this to get. And then ultimately the user has the ability to drill into the granular details as well, all from the dashboard. So this is a really nice presentation model for using a device and integrating with a device. You can see the same idea would probably make a lot of sense if you're operating a lab or using some kind of in-home care and you're getting data, any kind of lab or results or devices. This can be a helpful kind of presentation model for the dashboard. Okay, so the main takeaway here for the dashboard that we want you to get is that it really makes sense to customize the landing section of your user's dashboard. This is a really high conversion opportunity. And if you're customizing it and really making it specific to them, it's going to help them convert through your long-term life cycle of working with your company. If they can easily find where to go to take the next steps, and easily get to those results and then easily progress through your kind of initial sales funnel and get support, get resources, and make sure that the delivery is what they're expecting, why you're going to tend toward, if not guarantee, that you're going to have much better results long term and much longer customer relationships. So we hope that that was helpful going into detail about the dashboard. Okay, so we hope that you've enjoyed the video that we just covered. And ultimately, one of the big takeaways that we want to encourage you to consider is that we do offer a complimentary discovery process and a lot of additional resources that are complementary related to this topic. One of the biggest things about the Clarity software and the overall Clarity process is we really like to build long-term relationships. In fact, we really see this as an opportunity to help even if there isn't a good fit for us to directly work together. We really care about this industry and what's going on in the space, and we encourage you to take advantage of our complementary resources as well as our complementary discovery and strategy sessions that we can offer. If we can help, we certainly encourage you to dig in with us and ask for support as you approach any of your upcoming projects. And with that said, if you would help us as well to get the word out about this valuable service and these valuable resources, We just ask that you hit the like button and subscribe if you're watching this online, and we will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.